Didn't hear is it on recording now?
It didn't say anything, but yeah,
I hear the microphone's working.
it's showing that it's recording. I just promoted Ken Hartsfield to a panelist.
We get a little feedback. You could just turn the mics down and say,
All right, Mr. Chair, I think we're ready.
Right, let me call to order regular scheduled meeting of the Woodland Park Planning Commission. It's Thursday, July 9th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. in the council chambers. Can we have a roll call?
Certainly, Ken Kennedy,
Here.
Joe Fury,
Here.
Ken Hartsfield. You're muted, sir. I'll circle back. Don Hoying,
here.
Jared Newcomb,
Here.
Chair Brown,
Here.
Ken Hartsfield.
We can go ahead if Ken.
I'm here, Ken Hartsfield via Zoom.
Thank you. That's everybody. And also in attendance is myself, Karen Schmink, the planning director, and Grant Autai, our permit technician, is taking care of our AV for us this evening.
All right, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before I ask for motion on the minutes, note there was a small change which hasn't shown up in your copies, but the vote on the Haven at Paradise had previously listed 4 votes and omitted mine. So it's been reprinted adding mine. So if someone would like to make a motion on the minutes, adding the name Brown among those voting yes on Haven at Paradise, I'd be grateful. You may have other comments, of course, feel free.
In lieu of other comments, I'd like to make a motion to add Lee Brown to the vote on the Haven section of the minutes from last meeting.
It was an affirmative vote.
An affirmative vote to the list. Thank you.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. It's unanimous.
Ken Hartsfield, I'm going to abstain since I was not present.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, do we need to approve them like that, or is that just that's approved them too?
I think so.
Okay.
You need something else?
Okay, so we're going to consider that motion to have
Approval
approved
with
the correct.
Yes, thank you. I should have made it clear.
And Mr. Hoying's in agreement. Everyone's good. Okay, that's what we all thought we did. I think we're good.
So I thought,
Okay. We have a public hearing tonight on the Gold Hill Tank Site zoning designation. And for that, I guess we start with a presentation from city staff.
Yes, sir. Just a second. Okay, and now as announced by the chair, this is a proposal to establish municipal zoning for certain real property known as the Gold Hill Tank Site Annexation, and to set that zoning as public, semi-public land. The subject property is owned by the city of Woodland Park. It's located within the southwest quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 23, Township 12 South, Range 67 West of the 6th Principal Meridian, Teller County, Colorado. It's also known as 1370 West Midland Avenue here in Woodland Park. So this particular piece, when you look at this slide in the lower left-hand corner, it's a section of the zoning map where we've got the subject property outlined in a heavy black line. It's an odd, kind of irregular, triangular-ish sort of property. The parcel was conveyed to the city back in December of, squares in the wrong spot, December of 1988. It is approximately 3.69 acres in size. Shortly after the city obtained the property, the city had constructed a water tank on it in the early 1990s. There is currently a replacement water tank under construction on this same property. So this property is an integral part of the city's water utility system, and it is expected to be, or to continue to be, a part of the municipal infrastructure pretty much in perpetuity. No, had this happen the other night. My PowerPoint froze. My computer froze. Yikes. My apologies, everyone. I'll try this again. I'll have a chat with IT. Oh, goodness. Sorry, now I lost my Zoom. There we are. Nothing like choking under pressure, right?
It's a forgiving audience.
I appreciate that. Okay, so we'll try again here. The city of Woodland Park is the sole owner of the property. Oops, now it's going to be frisky. Yeah, so the city of Woodland Park is the sole owner. The subject property is located outside city limits. As you can see on this map, it's part of the city zoning map. It is completely surrounded by other lands that are all located within the city limits of the city of Woodland Park. And it's been surrounded like this for over 25 years. I believe it was in 2001 when the last piece, the one in green to the southwest, was the last piece to be annexed and kind of hem this in. So we ended up with this little island outside city limits.
Can you tell us a little more about that area, I mean, the green area, open space? What is that?
I'll get
You can get to there?
I'll get there.
Okay.
Thank you. So when it comes to annexation, state statutes pretty specific about some basic requirements. One of those is that at least 1/6 of the boundary being annexed needs to be contiguous with the city limits. And in this case, you've got 100% contiguity since it is completely surrounded. And then also within the Colorado Revised Statutes, there is a provision specific to annexation of unincorporated municipally owned land. And so that's where what we're utilizing and looking at as part of this whole annexation process. In part of that whole process is to establish municipal zoning for the subject property, and the zoning ordinance cannot be passed prior to the annexation ordinance, but it does need to happen within 90 days of the annexation becoming effective. And so with regard to timing, at the guidance of the city attorney's office, they said, go ahead and run this through planning commission to get your recommendation for what this should be zoned. And at next Thursday's meeting, there's 2 ordinances on city council's agenda. The first one is the first reading of the annexation itself. And then the second one is the ordinance and first reading of that ordinance that would then set the zoning district for the subject property. Both of those ordinances will be heard on August 6th. And again, in that order where the annexation ordinance is reviewed and acted on first, and then the zoning would be heard and acted on after that. So that's the timing of how this plays out. With regard to this particular proposal, per state statute, the city can annex land basically without notice, its own land without notice. So I need to be very clear about that. If somebody else was making an annexation petition, that's another whole long, very detailed process with quite a bit of notice to it. But when the city's annexing their own parcel like this, the same notice requirements do not apply. But with regard to establishing or making a recommendation for the zoning district, we went ahead and did notice requirements as per the Unified Development Code. So notice of this action was mailed to property owners within 200 feet of the subject property. And we posted the property, and then of course notice or the agenda for tonight's meeting ran in the Courier as necessary. Throughout that process, we have not heard anything back from anybody in the area, no concerns or issues. And maybe one of those cases where a lot of times folks probably thought it was already inside city limits and never thought about it since they're a quiet neighbor up there. One of the things that we look at in terms of making a recommendation and establishing zoning is what kind of guidance does the city's comprehensive plan and specifically the future land use map provide. So this is a snapshot from the comp plan, and you can see our distinctive parcel that we're talking there in that light blue. And so per the comprehensive plan, the recommendation is parks and semi-public lands. That green rectangle to the southwest, the recommendation for that is open space. And then to the north, northeast, and east, that's all yellow, which is single family homes. And if you recall, the future land use map pretty closely aligns with the existing zoning because it was a very conservative approach that was taken to providing guidance in comparison to zoning. So on this next slide, to the chair's question a little bit ago, with regard to current zoning in and around that area, that green rectangle to the southwest is actually zoned agriculture. And I don't know that there's, by way of any structures on that, if there is, there's very, very few, but I think it's largely a piece that really is associated with agriculture, or in this case, more open kind of land. And to the north, it's zoned planned unit development, but it's been developed with single family homes. To the northeast, there's a little bit of urban residential in the darker yellow. And then to the east is the suburban residential. So the biggest difference between those two residential zoning districts is lot size. But you can see this area is primarily residential with a little bit of ag land adjacent to it. There's another interesting, I guess, backwards letter C there in a dark blue that's zone public, semi-public lands. And it's my understanding that that is also owned by the city of Woodland Park. So when you look at that comprehensive plan recommendation for semi-public lands, the existing property owner, how we're using that property for municipal infrastructure, specifically water infrastructure. Let's do a double check here with the public, semi-public land zone district purpose. And per the Unified Development Code, this zone district provides for public and semi-public uses, which are purely governmental, includes city parks, semi-public uses, as well as joint public and private facilities. The location of these areas and the necessary utilities to serve them are dependent on the function each facility serves. So in looking at these different items, staff findings are that the city of Woodland Park is the owner of the subject property and it desires for it to be annexed into city limits. The city of Woodland Park is using the property for municipal utility infrastructure as evidenced by the water tank sited in the early 1900s and the replacement water tank currently under construction. The city will retain ownership of the subject property for the foreseeable future. And the proposed zone district of the public semi-public land zone is consistent with the desired future use category of parks and semi-public lands identified in the current comprehensive plan. So with that, the recommendation is for Planning Commission to recommend City Council that this real property owned by the city of Woodland Park, known as the Gold Hill Tank annexation, be zoned as public semi-public land. With that, I'll entertain any questions you may have.
Karen,
Yes, sir.
can you pull up the use table to show what uses are permitted for the public and semi-public land part of the table?
Sure. Give me another minute here. So the public semi-public land column is the second one from the right here in the lighter blue colors. So if you recall, P's are permitted use, T's require a temporary use permit, C is a conditional use permit, and S is a special use permit. And so I don't know how fast or slow you want me to scroll through this.
Yes, please.
So this is the first page of where the use table appears in chapter 4.
Pause there since there's a number of permitted uses.
Those are all amusement and recreation uses.
Okay,
There's nothing under animal care, nothing under automotive. A little bit under communication,
okay,
a little bit under health service uses such as an ambulance or hospital. Under industrial uses, it's conditional use permits required for a recycling facility. This next category is considerably longer, which is institutional, public, and semi-public uses. So you see a combination of special use permits, conditional use permits, and permitted uses here.
it's like 3 permitted uses there.
Mhm.
Okay,
Oops, one more at the top of this page. In that
Alright.
same category. There's no lodging uses, no marijuana or natural medicine uses. Parking, transit, and transportation uses. Just a little bit, but was require a public hearing. Personal and consumer service uses. Nothing's allowed under that category. Nothing's allowed under residential dwellings. Nothing under retail sales. And then nothing under wholesale trade, distribution, warehousing, and storage uses.
okay. So we're not authorizing the city to make a landfill right next to those people's homes. That's definitely not happening.
No, no, and
It's not a permitted use that seemed very objectionable to me for that particular piece of land. But I'm curious because we do have some requirements of things going in next to suburban residential zones. That there's fencing and other things required between certain types of projects and residential areas, things like that. but this is an existing condition. And now we're permitting additional uses by zoning it for whatever those uses are that are permitted. And I assume they just have to follow any project's requirements if they were planned for that zone, right? If the city wanted to build a structure, it would have to follow all the rules associated with that going into that zone next to a suburban residential zone, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
just wanted to check.
And that's actually part of what sparked this, was going through the county's permitting process.
Okay, I can imagine.
So would you, I guess of all of those, there's two that talk about public utilities, one public utility provider facilities. Another one, essential services and utilities, both have an S. So does that mean that in zoning this, in this way, that this will now retroactively require a special use permit?
I was gonna treat it more as an existing non-conforming use, just the fact that there is not a special
Okay.
use permit in place. The other part of that is on our future list of future projects, the list of things that require a special use permit needs to be better reconciled with the use table. I think that's needs another look, but that's not an emergent kind of situation or prospect at this point in time. So I'm comfortable with it not having a special use permit at this point in time.
So Karen, I'd also like to ask, what's the access that's currently to that property? Is it through that open space agricultural zone, or is it?
It's right on the edge of it. In your staff report, it was on the second page, the top of the second page, and you just like watching me share my screen.
I missed it.
That's okay. This middle image here on the screen, in the middle there, this is from a land exemption plat that was done in 1991. And so this kind of medium gray color is the city's parcel. And then here along this southern edge, there's a darker strip. That is a 30-foot wide access easement. That was part of that exemption plat. That it comes off of Midland Avenue. And that's how you get access up into that parcel.
That's sort of a road to nowhere.
All I can tell you is that's how they get to the land. It has legal access and that's what's used.
Interesting.
And it connects to that other piece of city property.
More interesting piece of that is the
Which is
funny
still
shaped
Isolate.
blue area where the road comes from.
Yes, in the lower left here, yes.
Mhm.
Again, the road starts through there, correct?
To the best of my knowledge, yes, it comes off of this street down here. At the bottom right-hand corner and then comes up through there.
Exactly, that's right.
Okay.
So it's long-standing. It's been this way since like 1988, 1991.
Is that rest of that property fenced? I'm looking at that outline where it's got the,
I have no knowledge of where fences may be out there. I'm sorry.
okay.
Now, just to follow up, as reference was made a moment ago to the green area, the open space area.
Agriculturally
It's
zoned.
called open space in the comprehensive plan, but it's actually, as you said, it's agricultural.
Yes.
What does open space mean? Is there some restriction against building there? Is that?
In the future, that's a category that was used for the future or as part of the future land use map and the comprehensive plan. I don't know why they picked open space instead of agriculture. I wasn't here for any of that process
Could
and
just be a naming issue, how they named it.
I
Maybe, that's what I was just asking, if open space meant as part of the development, there was somehow.
and I apologize. I
private open
didn't
Space or public open space or.
I didn't check that part of the comprehensive plan. So there's desired future uses, which is what this is a future land use map. And then there's current ownership and zoning. So if somebody wants to do something on their property, it gets looked at under zoning and permits issued according to that. If they want to change the use to something else and that change the zoning, especially at something in the future, this is where you go and look at this for some guidance in terms of, well, should this happen or not? So this is one data point for future changes.
Is that green space privately owned?
Yes.
Do the storage tanks require any on-site chemicals like chlorine or anything else for processing the water?
Not to my knowledge. I believe that, and actually this is where Kip would be helpful to answer that. Because all the processing of the water happens at the water plant. So I think this is a case of, this is the storage tank, and you need a certain amount of high to gravity feed into the residential areas. So I think what lands there has already been treated, but I don't know for 100%.
And it's been that way for over
Since 1991, when they did the last
30
thing.
years.
Because something like chlorine, could be hazardous to nearby residences if there were a leak.
To my knowledge, it all happens at the water plant. And again, it's already happening there.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's been going on for 30 years, so that's already an issue. If it's an issue, all we're doing is permitting it to be
Right.
a particular zone, which could allow permitted uses that weren't necessarily considered before, even though since we didn't have it zoned, I don't know that we could have limited any of those.
We would have been subject to
County requirements.
regulations in terms of what uses could be located there,
Sure.
but under the county's authority, since it's outside city limits.
Is
It was probably agricultural before we owned it, probably, since it's next to agricultural.
I don't know how the county has it zoned. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is the new tank going to replace the old tank or be in addition to the
I
old?
believe it's an addition.
I got all my questions answered.
Did
Hey,
the,
if there's nothing else now, oh, please go ahead.
just curious, did the PRAB reviewer express any interest in this parcel?
No, it's not subject to subdivision. It's part of annexation and establishing zoning for a newly annexed piece of land.
It's just the same zoning we use for our parks, so that's the only reason I asked.
Yeah,
I didn't expect it, but I was
it's
curious.
the same zoning as City Hall where you're sitting right now.
Yeah, so it is. Yeah, I was gonna ask if it conforms to standards, whether it might need a variance or anything of that, but if you were talking about providing, documenting an existing non-conforming use, I guess that would cover any other potential non-conformances.
Yeah, and I don't, to my knowledge from talking to the utilities director, I don't see this being used for anything other than what it currently is.
Well, it's just,
so.
as part of the zoning, there's setbacks and a few other standards that apply, and I didn't know if it meets the standards or whether it would need to document any non-conformance or approve any variance.
I'm not aware of it having any additional issues.
Those are my questions. Thanks.
Okay, we'll have another opportunity, but let me move next to a public hearing.
Well, do you want to check with Mr. Hartsfield first to see if he's got
Oh.
any?
Okay. Mr. Hartsfield, any questions?
I've been following the discussion and you've answered the questions I had pending as well, so we're good to move forward.
Okay, I don't see anyone here who's looking to comment. Is there any names signed up? Is there anyone online? If you're online and would like to make a comment, press the button to raise your hand.
I only have one additional attendee and they're not biting.
All right, well, I guess I'll close the close the public comment section of the meeting. We have if there's further questions for the city staff on this.
My only question would be just how do we properly document the existing non-conforming use? Rather than special use permit?
We need to document the existing non-conforming use.
It's in a sense already done that through the staff report, you know, that I've identified how it's being used, what's going on. You know, that we're establishing zoning now. It's not like we keep a file on properties otherwise that you go and pull stuff out. Not at least like a new one coming in like this.
This might be an example of the discussion we had more about minutes. We note for the minutes upon a question, the city staff verified there was an existing non-conforming use as a water tank serving the city water system.
Yeah, in other words, you've got a staff report here that
Okay.
outlined, you know, what's going on out there and the history of the parcel up to this point. That was not in a readily accessible little card file anywhere. It was compiled as part of
It's just,
preparing this for you guys.
First time I'm part of where we add or change zoning. That I'm aware of where there was something that's perhaps not in conformance with that.
I don't think it's something we do. We can note it to assist the process of somebody later trying to review what it is, but I don't think there's an action for us in that regard beyond documenting what our thinking is and what was presented at the meeting.
You know, and as part of preparing this, I did look at, you know, definitions and what's going on out on that property and how the landowner intends to use this for the foreseeable future. And so the recommendation in front of you really is what best aligns with what's going on
Oh,
the
I'm fine with
property
the
and where we're going.
I'm
in
fine
the
with the
future.
recommendation and
So,
just want to make sure we document it correctly. That's all I'm getting at.
All right, well, maybe to help move things along, Karen, can you put the recommendation on the screen? See if someone would like to make a motion with that visible, and we can then discuss the motion.
oops.
Okay, I move that the planning commission recommend to city council that the real property owned by the city of Woodland Park, known as the Gold Hill Tank Site Annexation and located within the southwest corner of the northeast quarter of section 23, township 12 south, range 69 west of the 6th principal meridian, Teller County, Colorado, also known as 1370 West Midland Avenue, Woodland Park, Colorado, be zoned public/semi-public land, P/SPL.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any discussion?
Are we having two issues tonight? One the annexation and one the zoning?
No, just the zoning.
Okay.
Planning Commission doesn't have any role in the annexation itself. You guys just make the recommendation with regard to what zone you would recommend it be established.
Very good.
There being no other comments, let's call the question.
Joe Fury,
Yes. Yes.
thank you. Ken Hartsfield,
Yes.
Don Hoying,
Yes.
Jared Newcomb,
Yes.
Chair Brown,
Yes.
and Ken Kennedy.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, the city council public hearing is currently scheduled for Thursday, August 2026 at 6 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Moving on to work session discussion of future project priorities.
Actually, if you don't mind, let's take care of the rest of the meeting and then we're gonna stop the recording and then start it again for the work session.
Okay, so do we,
Do you want to do reports?
you have reports?
Um, ironically, not really. Um, I guess the only thing to report is I'm this close to finalizing everything with a new senior planner. So please keep your fingers crossed. And hopefully the next time we meet, I will be sharing names and start dates and all that kind of good stuff. So very, very excited that I have a hot prospect. Like
Congratulations.
I said, this close, so.
This close. All right.
Jason.
Yeah, thank you. So that's really all I had to report this evening.
Okay, well then I guess we adjourn our regular scheduled meeting. Is there anything else? Meeting adjourned. No, we already have a